I think one is education. Okay. Like the number one will be education, because even though we're going to be here telling you come bank, or Ledn will help you get a loan. Ledn will help you earn interest. Ledn will help you keep your assets safe. We'll be doing that. But don't forget, there's a massive propaganda machine locally from the government banging the opposite drum, right? And so it's a battle, and it's a battle that is, the battleground for it is education, right? And the battleground for it is people's testing and people's experience. Because once people in Venezuela found Bitcoin and they transacted in it and they used it, they wouldn't listen to anybody that tells you it's bad. Like, you're just like, it's like me when somebody says, "Wow, Bitcoin's dead." I'm like, like an actual laugh emanates from my body, right? Because it's like, it's so ridiculous.
And I think you make a great point about the banking. I think people in Nigeria would agree with you. Having a bank account doesn't mean much if they can't get access to US dollars or pay merchants around the world, or it takes 3 months to get money. And even then, you don't know if it's guaranteed that you can get a certain amount. So I think you raise a great point, is even if we're not reducing the numbers, being banked isn't exactly, that kind of level that we're trying to reach. And you're talking about Colombia, you're talking about markets where Chainalysis has reported these are emerging grassroots adoption markets for Bitcoin, and for probably all the reasons that you've covered. Maybe just talk a little bit about the products and services. I'm just finding out about Ledn. I'm Canadian, so we love Ledn, I think, in Canada. But we're just saying like, hey, we don't really have Bitcoin, or we have a little bit of Bitcoin. What are some of the services that you offer so people can get an understanding of what range of products and services that you're offering, crypto newbies and existing crypto holders?
Definitely. So at Ledn, is in our name. Our specialty is lending. And so our flagship product is dollar loans with Bitcoin as collateral. So this is a product that you can use to get dollars or stable coins sent to you within 24 hours if you need dollars and don't want to sell your Bitcoin. So why do people use these services? Many times it's to divest into a different asset. So they have a stack of Bitcoin, but they found their dream house. So they borrow against their Bitcoin to make their down payment. Or they saved enough Bitcoin and they want to start their own business. They borrow against their Bitcoin to fund that business. Those are the main ones. A lot of people borrow against their Bitcoin to buy more Bitcoin, and we have a product for that called B2X. It's our most popular product. So we have two types of loans, which are our standard loans, which means you can use them to get the cash used for whatever you want. But then we have a loan that you can bring Bitcoin to Ledn, and then with a few clicks, we double that Bitcoin for you with a loan on the back end, right? So that product is called B2X. So those are the two kind of core lending products to borrow against. And then we are also going to be supporting Ethereum-backed loans earlier in 2024. That's the core of the lending product. Then there's also the ability for you to earn interest. So you can deposit either Bitcoin or stable coins at Ledn, USDC, USDT, or even Ethereum to earn interest on that Bitcoin or on those dollars. And that is called our growth accounts. So for our growth accounts, to give you an example, we're paying 8.5% on US dollar stablecoins. So you can come and earn 8.5% on your US dollar stablecoins at Ledn. How we're able to pay that 8.5% is because the loans that we're issuing to the people that don't want to sell that Bitcoin, that are borrowing those dollars, they are paying 12.4%. So that's what allows us to take a spread and pay out the 8.5%. And that's something that I will say is that not all lending platforms operate in the same manner or have the same risk management policies or transparency policies than we do, as 2022 showed us. One of the things that Ledn is incredibly proud of and is one of our differentiators is our proof of reserves. So every 6 months, we have an accountant that comes into Ledn, certified public accountant. They get basically a report of all the balances that we owe to our clients. And they also get to see the balances we have in custody, exchanges, lending agreements, etc. And they make sure that we have enough assets to cover our liabilities. And
I think that transparency is important, showing people kind of breaking it down, because people saw high yield, people saw high returns, whether it was, algorithmic stable coins, whether it was, FTX, which were, 3AC, where we're trying to move ahead of, I think, transparency and, the knowledge of what is happening with the Bitcoin, what you're doing. That, B2X product sounds like a winner. Borrowing Bitcoin to buy more Bitcoin just seems like something hodlers would do. And during a market like we've had in the last 18 months, it seems like it would probably be flying off the shelves. What are your thoughts? And I know we only have a couple minutes left, but what are your thoughts about the future of crypto? More importantly, like real world assets. You're in, kind of a digital asset class right now. with your thought about real world asset tokenization, putting things like bonds and real estate, is this going to be something that you offer in the future? Is this something that you're seeing your customers are demanding? What are your thoughts on kind of this real world asset tokenization that's happening and that's gotten the industry extremely excited about over the last 12 months?
Love that topic. Before I touch on that, I forgot to mention one last product, which is our dual cryptocurrency nodes, which is a product that effectively lets you earn interest also on your Bitcoin and USDC. But this is done not by lending, but by you deciding to potentially sell your Bitcoin at a predefined price on a predefined day, and similar to buy Bitcoin. So this product lets you sell Bitcoin at a higher price than it is today, or potentially buy Bitcoin at a lower price than it is today. And you get interest depending on the outcomes. You can read more. It's a bit of a complex product to explain in a soundbite, but you can check it out. It's people love it. So and I do too. But to your point about real world assets, I do think that this is going to be a big thing in the coming years. An example of this at Ledn is this idea of our Bitcoin mortgage product. So this is a product, we already have a product that takes a digital asset and a physical asset and combines them as collateral. It's called the Bitcoin mortgage. So we actually pioneered this. We announced the world's first Bitcoin mortgage back in December 2021. And that product's live in Ontario. We've issued mortgage, which is a pretty exciting thing to say. But I think this is the beginning of a trend. So I foresee lending against a blend of Bitcoin and real estate as a very big opportunity, something that we're already working on. This may also expand to, say, borrowing against a tokenized bond or borrowing against tokenized gold, these types of systems. I think you're going to have to still figure out a few things on the custody side of the house and the operational side of the house and also the regulatory side of the house. And the other thing I will say is that this real world asset phenomenon can only be driven by centralized providers. Why? Because no real decentralized protocol can go to a registry to confirm ownership of something. It just doesn't work that way if you're truly decentralized, right? And so I believe that it is going to be the centralized offerers that are going to take the baton here and have to build this out to what it can be.